This is JavaScript Hello World. In this video, we're going to create a simple web page that's going to execute a little bit of JavaScript. We don't assume that you know anything about JavaScript. This is for week one of our Introduction to JavaScript course, and the idea is that you're going to just type in what I type in this, test it in the browser, and see if you can get it to do something. If you can get it to do something, then that's awesome. You shouldn't have too much of a problem being able to do other stuff in JavaScript by following along in the course. This is really just sort of like a confidence building exercise, but also to help you with some of the picky little details pertaining to getting JavaScript running in a web page that you create yourself. This will also serve as a little bit of a review for putting together web pages if you haven't done that before. Okay, so I've got two windows open on my machine. On the left hand side is a text editor. I'm using TextMate because I'm on OS X Macintosh. If you're on Windows, you'll be using something else, maybe Notepad++, or regular Notepad works too. Just as long as it's a text editor, you don't want to use Word for anything like this. It won't work. It's got to be a plain text editor, no formatting. You type in the tags and all that stuff and make it real simple. And then what we'll do is we'll open the HTML file that we create over here on the right side in the browser. You can see I'm starting with a blank browser. And basically you have nothing to start off with. You're going to be opening the file not over the internet, but you're going to be opening it up from your local machine. You're going to save the file to your desktop and then open it up from your desktop and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to code this HTML file by hand. I'm going to move this over and we'll zoom in on this. For this class, it's probably going to be easier for you to just use the HTML5 document type definition, which looks just like that. A lot less to type in than previous versions of HTML. It's fine. I'm going to create a header here and a title, and I'm going to call this JavaScript Hello World, and that's all I need in my head. And then in my body, I like to type the close tags as soon as I type the open tags so that I don't forget them. I'm just going to have a title that says Hello JavaScript. None of this is going to be meaningful. The part that's going to be meaningful is the part that's going to be in the header back up here. So you can see I have in my head section of my document, and I should probably start differentiating because now in HTML5 you have a head section of the document where metadata pertaining to the document resides, but then you also have this new concept called the header, which goes into the body of the document. So I'm going to be a little bit more explicit now and say the head element, which is where I am now. I'm going to type a new tag called script, and then I'm going to type text JavaScript as the type element, or type attribute, sorry. Now, later on in the course, we're going to do lots of different things pertaining to events and different ways of executing JavaScript functionality in response to user actions, and even stuff like timed actions and things like that is possible in JavaScript. For now, all I want to do is to execute a single line of JavaScript as soon as the page is loaded. And so the way that we do that is we just type in code into a script block, and when the page is loaded, the code that's in the script block is going to be executed. And I'm going to use one of the simplest functions in JavaScript, which is alert. This is also handy to know if you are debugging, although there's more sophisticated ways of debugging. One of the nice things about the alert function, if you use it, is that it's always available no matter what browser you're in and what app plugins you have installed. We'll talk about real JavaScript debuggers in this class and things like that, but alert is always available to you. So if you're really stuck and if you, for whatever reason, can't get access to a conventional debugger, you always have the ability to pop up an alert or do other things in your JavaScript code, and that can make it easy to see that the code is executing and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to give this a save. I'm going to call this hello.html, save this to my desktop, and now I'm going to go back to my browser, do a file, open file, go back to my desktop, say hello.html, and what you should see immediately after the file has been loaded is an alert box pops up with my message inside of it, hello JavaScript, and that's it. Then the page loads and you can see that the text that I put into the body element of the page is there as well too. Now, what happens if it doesn't work? It will almost never work the first time. It may work the first time, but one of the truisms of learning a new language and programming is that you'll forget something. You'll miss a tag, you'll forget a semicolon, you'll miss an end quote, something like that. The web browser can be forgiving in a lot of cases, and if you've been doing a lot of static web development in HTML, you're probably accustomed to being able to get away with little mistakes. But in the JavaScript world, it's a lot harder to get away with those mistakes, and so you have to be real careful, use a lot of attention to detail, and make sure that as you go through this that you are really cognizant that every single thing is in place, that you have a type element for your script element, that the alert function call has open parens and close parens, that your text string inside there, the hello JavaScript part, has a single open quote and a single close quote, or a double open quote and a double close quote will work as well too in JavaScript, but they have to be the same is the point there, right? They can't be one double and one single quote. That just won't work for JavaScript. It'll get confused and it won't show the effect that you're trying to go for there. One of the things you can also try if your page isn't loading is to use the W3C validator, and I'll put a link to that in the course. It's W3, what is it? It's validator.w3.org. You can load your page into that, and the validator will parse your page and make sure that all of the HTML is in place and that you're not missing anything. One of the most common reasons why JavaScript code won't execute in an HTML page is because the HTML page is not valid, so the code isn't doing what you think it's doing because it doesn't have what you think you were giving it in the page, and so that's one of the reasons why that's the case. So I think that's pretty much it. So if you can get the alert hello JavaScript done, then you have the ability to go back and you can go back and make a change if you want to experiment a little bit, save the file again, and then go back to the browser and do a reload. And you should be able to see that whatever changes that you made will be reflected in the new version of the file. Just don't forget that you have to reload the file in order to re-execute your JavaScript code. And this cycle of going back and forth, making changes in the code, and then refreshing it in the browser is a pretty common tactic. Again, like I mentioned, we'll go through debugging later on, and you'll see how to do more formal debugging using an actual software tool. But again, this is a decent enough paradigm for the simple code that we're doing in the first few weeks of this class, and you can kind of get a sense as to how developers will test their code in the browser by making a change, refreshing, going through the code again, putting alert statements and things in there just to see what's going on.